So, I know this video is late, but Spider-Man Far From Home is finally out, and I'm going to rank every single Spider-Man movie because of it. A lot of these movies I didn't watch until the past week or so, and it was a good refresher on some of the ones I haven't seen in a while. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. Last place, of course, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I actually kind of enjoyed watching this. There were definitely some good scenes. I love the montage of Peter just kind of swinging around the city being Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, I think he did okay as Peter Parker in this one. Andrew Garfield is definitely my least favorite Spider-Man. He did okay with this. Emma Stone's been great in all the movies. Those are really all the pros. The villain's absolutely horrible. Jamie Foxx is not too good as Electro. Dane DeHaan, horrible as Harry Osborn. And the guy playing the Rhino is just incomprehensibly bad. Like, if they were setting up for a Sinister Six movie with him in it, I have absolutely no idea what they were doing. Some of the action was good, and the effects were good, but overall, this is a very forgettable Spider-Man. Next up, we got the original Amazing Spider-Man. Like the last one, I enjoyed it. I feel like Andrew Garfield, he just isn't great as Peter Parker. He seems to, he doesn't seem like the social outcast that Peter Parker actually is in the other two franchises. He seems kind of like a skate rat. You don't really even see him get picked on. The one time he gets picked on is because he's defending another kid who's getting picked on. And then, I like Flash Thompson in these movies. I like his portrayal and how he's kind of nice to Peter after Uncle Ben dies. I love Uncle Ben in this movie. I don't know why, but I somehow feel like he's better than the original Uncle Ben. Not as iconic, but just, I find him more enjoyable, better written. And then, action scenes are great. Lizard's horrible. The relationship between Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker is kind of 50-50 for me in this movie and throughout the whole Amazing Spider-Man series. Just not great. Anyway, next up on the list, Spider-Man 3. I actually liked this movie. I enjoyed it. I thought Tobey Maguire did a good job as Peter Parker, although I thought MJ was quite annoying in this movie. I liked the villains except for Venom. Venom was just... I liked Eddie Brock before he became Venom. I kind of liked him as a rival to Peter Parker. But then Venom is, probably almost as bad as Rhino. Not as bad, but instead of being, the menacing beast that Venom is, he's just kind of, he's making, dumb jokes about women and, kind of quipping like Spider-Man is, and just not good at all. J. Jonah Jameson, great as always. I liked Harry Osborn. I liked Sandman. And overall, this is a fun movie. Although I am kind of weirded out that it has, 3 musical dance numbers, which is way more than the other movies had, since they had none. I think the main reason this movie is so high for me, besides being kind of forgettable, I think the main reason it's so high for me is because at times it can be so corny and bad that it's quite enjoyable. I have a lot of problems with this movie, but sometimes, the corniness that other people see as bad, I find quite enjoyable. Anyway, next up is Spider-Man 2, making up kind of the, ending off the bottom half of the list. I know a lot of people love this, see it as one of the best, not Spider-Man, but superhero movies in general. And I just don't see that. I like the movie. It's a lot of fun, but I like Doc Ock. I love Tobey Maguire. He's grown on me. I don't think he's the best Peter Parker, but he grows on you throughout the series. You can definitely kind of see the dorkiness. I don't think he's great as Spider-Man. I think he's great as Peter Parker. Not very much as Spider-Man. MJ, Aunt May, they were both kind of jerks in this film. I feel like a lot of characters throughout the second and third films are just rude to each other for no reason. Peter and MJ's relationship is, I might call it the worst in the series. It's great in the first one, but it's just not great here. I love the action scenes. I love the train sequence. And then, I don't have too much more to say on this. It's a fun Spider-Man movie. And while it's kind of forgettable for me, especially for the original trilogy of Spider-Man films, I still enjoy it. It's a great middle chapter. I love Doc Ock. I love Harry Osborn. The main thing is just bogged down is a lot of the characters like MJ and Aunt May and, Harry Osborn actually just don't like him. They all just kind of bogged down for me along with bad acting at times. So that makes it off the step 5 on my list. Next up, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, I honestly didn't expect this to be at 4th on my list. I expected it to be much higher than that. But then I rewatched loads of Spider-Man movies, and this was originally higher, but then I just didn't enjoy it much. I feel like this movie was much better on first viewing. I find myself enjoying it a little less the more I watch it. It's still great. It's still amazing. Tom Holland is by far the best Spider-Man, and Peter Parker. Vulture's a great villain. I love Ned. I love MJ. I love Liz. Flash is great. I love Ned as kind of a side character who Peter can kind of play off of. I think this is kind of the more realistic Aunt May. I think Tony Stark is great in this movie. It has great fun action scenes, a nice soundtrack. I think my main problem with it is, like, as I kind of grow older, I find it more annoying when Spider-Man just, like, betrays Tony Stark and goes against his trust. Maybe it's because I'm in that age group that I find it annoying. But, like, the way he goes against Tony Stark has always bugged me a lot. But it still has great action sequences. Probably, I'd say Vulture is the best villain in all these Spider-Man movies, at least for me. And overall, this is still a fun movie. Did a great job kind of introducing the Spider-Man characters to the MCU after Civil War. And I love how it kind of fits in with the rest of the MCU. And overall, it's still a great movie. Next up, we have the first and original 2002 Spider-Man. I didn't expect this to be this high. I watched it, and it wasn't great. There was some fun action scenes. I loved Green Goblin and Peter Parker. MJ was okay. But I feel like the main reason I liked it was because at some times it could just be so corny and bad at some times in the movie that it was just, like, astronomically enjoyable. Like, I found myself constantly laughing throughout the movie for all the wrong reasons. And it was great. I love J. Jonah Jameson. He actually has some pretty funny lines. Green Goblin is just a great, enjoyable villain. I just love Willem Dafoe in this movie. Tobey Maguire is great. And overall, this movie isn't at the top because of its superhero scenes or action scenes or just as a superhero movie itself. It's at the top because how corny it is, and I love that corniness. It's more of a comedy for me than an actual superhero movie. Next up, second place, Spider-Man Far From Home. I absolutely love this film, from the setting across Europe to Mysterio. I loved Mysterio and his one sequence where he does the effects on Spider-Man. I love how you can kind of feel the effects of Tony Stark's death and how that affects this world. And overall, this is just a fun film. I'm not going to elaborate on it too much because I already did a review. But as I've already mentioned, my problems, I'm not the biggest fan of how they handled the snap and everybody coming back. I thought it was good, not great. And then there were some scenes that kind of felt out of place, like the whole feud between Brad, that character, and Peter. And the one thing where Peter's, like, getting his new costume in that one rest stop. Or when Peter almost blows up a kid. I wasn't the biggest fan of that, or the glasses a plot device. But overall, this is a fun movie. It's a funny movie. And probably some of the best post-credit scenes in the entire MCU. And that's why I put it up here. But number one, of course, there was no other place it could be, is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is just not a great Spider-Man movie, not just a great animated movie, but a great movie in general, with good themes and messages. I love Miles as a character. I love Peter Parker, like, kind of alternate dimension and main dimension. Peter B. Parker, of course. Gwen, Spider-Ham, all the side Spider-Man are great. And I love their kind of little goodbyes to Miles at the end. I love their introductions. This movie's funny. It's got a great soundtrack. I'd say the villains, I do have a little problem with them. Prowler's great, of course, but I wasn't the biggest fan of Kingpin, which is a little what bogs this movie down for me. But then, of course, the main pro is the animation. I don't even feel like I need to talk about that. I love the music. I love the action. And overall, this just feels the most like a Spider-Man movie to me. Of course, my favorite Spider-Man medium is probably the video game, which I love so much. But when it comes to the movies, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is kind of the go-to Spider-Man movie for me, and I love it. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. I'm probably not going to have any more videos for a while. Maybe a Stranger Things Season 3 review in the next couple of days. And then after that, I'm taking a break, and my next review won't be for The Lion King, probably till late July. So I hope you guys liked the video. Like, subscribe. I have a gaming video coming up on Anakin Fan Gaming probably tomorrow. And anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. I'll see you guys later. Bye.